everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name's Claire and this is Yoli. And today, seeing as it's almost Christmas, I thought I would just do a really chilled kind of plant chores video. I've got some moss poles I want to make, one of which is a Christmas present for my mum, so I really do need to get that done today. And yeah, maybe a little propagation update, some repotting, etc. I've got a lot here on my list, so I'm going to try and get through it all in this video. But yeah, I really hope you enjoy. So, as I say, one of the things I'm going to do in this video is make a moss pole for my mum. I say moss pole, it's actually not going to be a moss pole because I don't have enough sphagnum moss. It's going to be a core pole and I don't actually have everything that I would usually use to make one. I'm going to make a mini moss pole first and kind of see how that goes. And if it works, then I'm going to make the big one. And if it doesn't, then I will just have to rethink things. But yeah, the first thing I'm going to do before I show you anything else, because this takes a little bit of time, is I'm going to rehydrate the core. I'm just going to pour a bit of water on it and then I'm going to leave it while I give you some more updates. This does go huge and I usually don't do it in one big block. The only time I've used this stuff before, I have kind of chopped it in half. But yeah, I'm not going to do that today because we're pushing the boat out. So I'm going to leave that for a couple of minutes and just see how it goes. Maybe I'll add a bit more actually, because that's absorbing very quickly. What I was about to do was give you a little update on the anthurium seeds that I started off in my Repot and Chat video recently. They're all doing really well, honestly. I am so happy with how they're doing. All of them are rooting. That's the first thing, which is great. I was a little bit nervous about starting them off at this time of year just because obviously winter isn't the best time to start seed germination, but this one, oh, very careful. Okay, I'm not going to remove that bit of moss, but you can see it's not only got an amazing root, I might have to put a different clip of this in actually, but it's sprouting, it's got a little leaf popping up. So yeah, I'm so happy about that. It's been under my grow lights upstairs. I've kept it in kind of damp sphagnum moss and I've had it on a grow mat, which has been, I think, definitely the thing that has sped the process up the most. I'll show you my grow mat. This is from Dr. Grow, and honestly, if you like propagating plants and you don't have one of these, I would 100% recommend investing in one. It just, as I say, speeds up the process so much. I've also got a discount code for this one, JH10, so I'll pop the website for this and all of the details for my discount in the description box below. But yeah, I feel like if I hadn't used one of these at this time of year, then it would have taken a lot longer. And as I say, I was scared that none of them would sprout at all, and now they're all doing their thing. So again, I will keep you updated with them. I am very excited about them and what they turn into, because obviously they're little clarinervium hybrid plants and I don't know what they're crossed with, so I'm really excited about that. Oh my god. Okay. Seeing as the top's hydrated already, I'm gonna just put a bit of that in with my potting mix here because it's getting bigger by the second and I feel like it's not gonna stay in the bowl. I'm just thinking the texture of this core is a lot more crumbly than I remember it. I thought it was a lot more wiry and long and I thought I'd be able to very easily make a core pole with it, but it is not. So what I'm thinking is I might rehydrate the rest of the moss I've got here. I think I've got some more upstairs somewhere. So I think I'm going to do that and I'm going to try making the mini moss pole. And if that goes well, I'll do the same with the bigger one, which is the main one that I need to do. Right, so I'm going to rehydrate the sphagnum moss with a little bit of lukewarm water. There's some in there that's already kind of been rehydrated once and has dried out, and then there's the block. I was also slightly worried that for this video, because I've got quite a lot of time-consuming fiddly things that I need to do, like making this bizarre moss pole, I was going to run out of things to talk about. So I put a post on Instagram saying if you've got any questions or plant related things that you want to ask, feel free to send them in. So I'm gonna get started on trying to make the tiny mini moss pole first and see how that turns out, and go through and try and answer some of your questions. So the tiny kind of trial moss pole that I'm going to make for my Brantianum, I'm going to use a chopstick just because it's about the right height and it will give me an idea as to whether or not this is actually going to work the way that I do it. I'll usually use netting and stuff like that to kind of contain it, but I thought I had some and I don't. So I found this string. I think it's like plasticky thread, but I'm going to just tie it round the end here. I've never ever done it this way, so this could go very wrong. So it's very loosely tied to the base of the chopstick. I'm going to move the camera so you can see what I'm attempting to do. So I'm going to just put a bit of the core on top of the moss, because I know that the moss will hold it a bit better. And then I'm just going to try and wrap that bit round and then wrap the thread round it as well, and hope that that will kind of hold it all in place. So it kind of looks like that. And I'm just going to do the rest as I go up. This, as I say, is the trial one. So if it doesn't work, we'll scrap the moss pole for my mum for today and we will move on to something else. But I'm hoping this works. I'm just going to make a loop and just do that a few times and just hope that that keeps it all together. I mean, this actually has gone okay. This was very, very easy. This only took me about 2-3 minutes to do, and it looks at the moment like it's going to work fine. I'm just going to do quite a few loops though, just to make sure it's really, really secure. So yeah, that is the little trial moss pole, which doesn't look like the most attractive thing in the world, but I guess if you were to go around it with more threads, then it would look slightly better. I think I'm going to do the same on the big one. I might use a bit of string as well, just for extra security. But yeah, I think that's going to work. I'm going to put that to one side because I'll use that for my Brantianum. Cool, so I've got some more moss if I need it. This is the size of the moss pole that I was going to make for my mum, which is going to take a while. I feel like I should answer a question while I'm doing this because it's going to be a bit of a nightmare, I think. Okay, let me start it off and then I'll have a proper lick. There's a few. Okay, so I think I'm going to start it from about there so that it's got that bit there that can be put into the soil. Let me look and see a question. Do you ever get burnout? I'm guessing that means plant burnout. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely do. I feel like everyone does, like even if it's something that you absolutely love. I know for some reason, like in terms of, because I've obviously been trying to create more planty content, create more planty content a lot more often in these last few months. And with kind of the Christmas break, I was like, oh, I'll be able to do so much more. Like I had all of these plans of everything that I wanted to do. And for some reason, as soon as I have more time on my hands, I really, really lose my motivation for so many things. I don't know if anybody else finds that as well. But as I say, I had so many videos I wanted to make, so many plants, like plant related things that I wanted to do. This is one. And obviously I've left this to completely the last minute, and it's been a bit of a struggle, to be honest, to actually be like, right, come on, Claire. It's such a reflection on your mental health as well, I think. Like for me anyway, the two go hand in hand so much. If I'm feeling positive and motivated and good in life in general and myself, then almost knocking my phone off charge again, whoops, then I will always feel so much more motivated to spend time with my plants, to do all the things. Okay, I'm going to turn myself like that, or like that, that's better for the camera. Do all the things that I should do and should want to do as well. I think that's the most difficult thing when you've got something like houseplants, indoor gardening. Do set yourself up for responsibility in the same way that you do, not to the same extent, but when you get a pet or something like that, you're caring for something living, and if you see it starting to go downhill, then it's going to make you feel bad about yourself sometimes. It shouldn't, because obviously it's part of the plant journey. But so if I have weeks where I'm feeling really on it and really positive and I'm getting loads done, and then all of a sudden I dip, it will put me in a worse state, seeing that perhaps my plants are not taking the brunt of it, but also suffering because of it too, if that makes sense. Like if I know that I've got watering to do and I can't find the energy, the kind of get up and go to make myself do it, that can be detrimental in kind of like overcoming that first hurdle. If you actually say to yourself, okay, you know what, I don't feel like doing this, I'm going to get up and make myself do it, then a lot of the time, once you've actually started, you'll find your flow again. It's that pressure that comes along with it, the pressure you put yourself under. Nobody else puts you under that pressure, you do it to yourself. But yeah, so that would be my answer to burnout. Very long-winded answer. Yes, I do get it. I think everyone gets it. And if they don't ever get it, I think they're lying, personally. Maybe there's some people that can just be great and on it all the time. Who knows? This is starting to get really tricky as I get further up the pole, because you can't see, because this thread is basically invisible. It is just getting so caught, and I feel like it's only going to get harder as we go on. So whilst I'm struggling with this, let me look. I've kind of briefly answered this question before, but someone said, why did you stop your shop? Oh God, I guess I've done a very short answer before. A slightly more long-winded answer is, I set up my shop. I'd been into houseplants for such a long time, and I decided during pretty much, I think, 4 or 5 months into lockdown that I was going to give it a go. Like, it was something I really loved, and I was like, you know what, if I could turn this into a business, it would be fantastic. And me and my ex were living together at this point, and we had so much space to be able to do everything. It was fantastic. We were only renting, we didn't like own a house, but the place we were renting, we were very, very, very lucky with space and light and lots of great things for starting a plant shop. So yeah, it was fantastic. We had, how long did I do it for there? I guess maybe a year. I don't know, about maybe 8 months. 8 months of really happy shop times there, and it's something that I do 100% want to carry on. But when me and him separated, we're still literally best friends. Like, we didn't end on horrible terms. We just, yeah, decided that things weren't quite right for us at that point. When we separated and I moved out, I had to temporarily move back to my mum's, which is where I am now. I am living back at home with my mum, who is an absolute angel, letting me bring about a quadrillion plants home with me, and honestly, she is incredible. Happy Christmas, Mum. Hope you like your moss pole. But yeah, so I did try and continue my shop for a while when I first moved back, but it's not just, and I think this is maybe, if anybody wants to see a video at any point about starting a plant shop or anything like that, I don't know if that would be of interest, but an interesting subject, but I would happily do it. It's not just the space for plants that you have to take into consideration. It's the space for like packing materials, like boxes and bubble wrap, eco-fill, all of this stuff that if you're doing it regularly, it like doesn't work out cost effectively. Sorry, this is a slightly boring subject, but it doesn't work out cost effectively or environmentally friendly to just buy in small amounts. Like, if you're buying stuff, then buying in massive kind of eco-fill bags that would like be twice the size of me, 3 times the size of me, that is the best way to do it. Otherwise, you're maybe making like a £1 profit on a £10 sale. I would absolutely love to get it all set up and running again, but I need to wait until I'm able to move out again and kind of, yeah, have a bit more of my own space and not feel like I'm cutting corners by having to do things in half measures, which is something I never wanted to do in any way, shape or form. So that is the slightly longer story. God, look at the state of me. I'm actually getting covered in this core stuff. I don't know if there's any benefit in me actually adding it underneath the moss either, besides the fact it's packing it out a bit more. Ooh, and I also feel like I should start threading from this end now, because it's getting so caught up. This is a right mess. I do have to say though, I've got absolutely zero regrets about starting my shop. Like, I honestly met some of the loveliest people, customers that have turned into friends, people that I speak to on a regular basis and just wouldn't have met otherwise. It's also something that I would never have thought to do if it hadn't been for lockdown. Like, I know it put everybody in such a bizarre situation, and despite the fact that I loved houseplants, I never thought that I'd be trying to do it as a job. So it was, oh no, what have we done here? Uh-oh, the thread's all tangled. What have I done? What have I done? But yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. And I do see this as kind of a temporary stopover point where I'm back doing my day jobs, and I am focusing on YouTube, which I am loving so much. I love making these planty videos. So I'm hoping that at some point very soon I will be able to start it all back up again. This thread is forming a very big, can you see? It's forming a big knot and I don't know what to do. This is definitely not a DIY how to make a moss pole video. This is Claire struggling with the wrong materials moss pole making. The good thing about using both sphagnum moss and core for a pole, and I think I've said this before in another video, but is that when you're using it for a climbing plant, all of the nodes and the aerial roots of the plants can essentially absorb loads of micronutrients from it. So when you water your plants, if you water the pole as well, it helps them to grip on and also essentially feed. And my mum's got this really gorgeous, it was actually a baby large form monstera, and it's suddenly got absolutely massive, and she's been asking me for about 3-4 months to make her a moss pole, and I keep saying I'll do it, but I have not, so I'm doing it in the weirdest possible way. But hopefully it will do the job and she'll be happy. The good thing is, I don't think I'm going to need to rehydrate any more moss. This stuff goes such a long way. Like, whenever you see it, that's the brand as well. I'll link them down below. But they're a brilliant brand. But whenever you see it like this, you always just think, oh, that's not going to go very far. But it, like, that will come out to like that much moss. It lasts for ages. And I've repotted so many plants using this stuff already in the last few months. And yeah, it's gone a very long way. So hopefully this will do the job for the whole thing. Nearly there now. Maybe I'll do another question. What's your favourite way to propagate? I kind of talked about this before with the heat mat again. As I say, the Dr. Grow heat mat is absolutely amazing. All the details are down below. I also have got my, this is one that I was going to give you a little update on, my little verrucosum that I showed you in my Repotting chat. It's now given me the teeniest verrucosum leaf, but it's in water at the moment, and I've had it inside a plastic bag again on the heat mat, and it's literally just popped out this teeny tiny little leaf. So yeah, I would say I don't have a favourite way to propagate. I used to be all water, like I would just use water for absolutely everything, and then got really into like perlite propagation. A lot of my propagation boxes are perlites, but sphagnum moss again is brilliant. Yeah, I wouldn't say I have a favourite method. I guess I've just knocked it off. I've just knocked off the propagation. I've knocked off the verrucosum. Oh, panic. It's fine. We're all good. It's fine. I've just spilt the water, but yeah, as I say, I don't think I have a favourite way to propagate. I think it depends on the plant. It depends on the stage of growth. For example, my wet stick propagations now, I will almost always do in perlites, either in a propagation box or in a bag with moisture in there, and again on a heat mat. I will do, if you want to see a video like specifically about propagation that's not as jumbled and crazy as this video, then do let me know and I will do that in the new year. We're so nearly there now. Right, what else? When did you get into houseplants? That's a really tricky question, to be honest. I guess, like, I've always been such an outdoorsy person. Like, I've always loved being in nature. But I got my first houseplant from my nana, which was an African violet, when I was, oh God, really quite young. I want to say I want to say 8 or 9, but I don't know if that's accurate. The first that I actually kind of got into houseplants and actively started buying them for myself is probably when I was about 18, 19. And I didn't go crazy, like I just got a few, and I got them because I loved the look of them. Like I was really interested in like interior design, styling stuff. Oh, drop the thread again. And I just thought they added so much kind of life to a space. Like I loved the whole bringing the outdoors indoors. And so I got some just because, as I say, I love the look of them. I didn't really think about how you needed to look after them. I just assumed that if you watered them regularly, then they would be absolutely fine. And I found out the hard way that actually that is the best way to kill your plants. So I was watering them very, very regularly, or just very sporadically. Like I would go maybe 2 weeks without any water, and then I would water them for 4 days straight. And because of that, a lot of them did end up dying. In terms of when I first started getting into really like learning about houseplants, because it became such a kind of focus of mine, something that I really enjoyed learning about, I guess, oh God, when would that have been? I guess I was probably about 21. I'm 28 now, so a while ago now. But yeah, I just started becoming really, really fascinated with like propagation, stuff like that, like different types of plants, caring for different types of plants. Oh, you know what? I've just found a much easier way to do it. And I bet a lot of you watching are like, God, Claire, why didn't you do that from the beginning? Why didn't I do this from the beginning? I'm literally holding the thread and rotating the pole, and it's doing it all for me. Wow, I could have had this all done by now if I'd thought of that sooner. That is such an easy way. So anybody that is still watching at this point, if you're making a moss pole, then I suggest holding it and turning it, and then it will do the wrapping of the thread for you. I'm such a numpty. What was the question? First getting into houseplants. Yes, so that was for me, I think, the point where I started to get lots of them. I lived in this basement room that I'm still in now. I lived here for a while when I was about 21 before I moved out. Again, I've moved out several times and moved back now. But when I was down here before, I remember bringing all my plants back with me and really struggling because light is just awful down here. It's north facing. It has well, one natural light source, but again, north facing, pretty much underground, like ground level with house around it. So it's not great. Grow lights were the best discovery I made. And then I was like, I feel like this is a lot easier now. Another question of yours is, what's your favourite plant? Again, this changes really, really regularly. It's really hard. I've got so many that I absolutely love. It's really hard to pick a favourite, to be completely honest. Some days I will spend ages looking at one plant and be like, oh my God, I love it so much. And then other days it'll be a new plant. As I've spoken about quite a lot recently, I am loving anthuriums at the moment, not just the rare ones. Like my jungle bush anthurium is one of my favourites. I've showed you her before in other videos. I absolutely love her, but also the rarer ones. I've got my clarinervium up there. My veitchii is also up there. I saw another question, which is, what is the plant you're struggling with the most? And I can cover that in this answer as well by saying the plant I'm struggling with the most is my Antherium warocqueanum, the one that I showed you in my last repot and chat video, literally only 3-4 weeks ago. As I said in that video, I was slightly concerned about the condition of the roots because the soil it arrived in, firstly, the pot was very, very, very deep. I mean, the pot was about that big, and that was kind of the size of the leaf, and like it only had 3 leaves to support, so that was a lot of soil. It was very, very damp. I did check the roots, and firstly, the root system was so tiny, like it was so small, so it trying to hold all of that moisture from the soil and absorb it had made the roots start to rot, which is always a bad thing. So I repotted it in sphagnum moss fairly quickly after getting it, I think within about 3-4 days, and I treated it with hydrogen peroxide, the roots, and I don't know, it's been a dream plant of mine for such a long time, and as I said before, I found this deal on Etsy and I jumped at it and was like, oh my God, I found this plant really cheaply. I have to get it. And there's a reason why. And actually, I totally should have known this, but there's a reason why often these plants are so cheap. And I'm not saying that about this seller. I'm not going to name the seller anyway, but I'm not saying it about this seller. It could have just been an anomaly. But I think sometimes with rarer plants that people know are in very high demand, they will get them out quickly and they won't necessarily think about the condition or what they're doing to the plant before they send it. And I could see already, as I said in my previous video, that the leaves had been trimmed back quite a lot towards the bottom of, I think, 2 of the leaves. And I don't know if that is down to root damage that had caused the leaves to start doing funny things. I don't know. I don't know. But at the moment, she's not looking vibrant at all. Like the colour of her leaves, especially the big main leaf, is really pale. Like the colour's kind of fading. And to be completely honest, it looks like her biggest leaf is going to die off. I don't want to jinx it and say that. I'm hoping it won't. And if it does, I'm still going to keep going with the rest of the plant. There's one leaf that looks relatively healthy. I think it's a combination of me being a new plant parent with that one and the fact that it arrived in not the best state. So yeah, I'm not going to beat myself up for it. I'm just going to go with the flow and I'm going to keep the faith that she's going to bounce back and I'll be able to nurse her back to a healthy state. But at the moment, that one is such a concern. I literally look at her every morning and I'm like, what's changed? Are you doing any better? And currently, no. Currently, it's a kind of downhill battle. Uphill battle, that's one. Oh, how annoying. I've got about that much more to do and I'm pretty much out of moss. Can I do the last bit with the scraps from the floor? Potentially. These are really kind of crummy bits, so I'm not sure how well they're going to hold. I might have to go back to my old technique of wrapping it round the weird way. I'm going to have to use a lot of this core for potting very quickly because I've just realised I've rehydrated all of it and now I've barely used it in the moss poles because I thought it was going to be more, you know, like sometimes core can be kind of like long and fibrous. I thought that was going to be like this, but alas, it is not. So that's the moss pole. I know I might regret it, but I think I might go in with the string as well, just because I just think it's going to be more secure. It obviously doesn't look quite as good, but I guess if you wanted to go back in with more moss, you could. As I say, I want it to be secure. And if you are making a moss pole yourself, I would highly recommend either getting a lot more of that clear string, or if you want the easiest way to do it, get yourself some net. Cool, that ticked off the list. One of the other things I was going to do that's on my list is repot my jewel orchids because I can see the roots are starting to come out the bottom. And I've just realised that in order to do that, I'm probably going to need more moss, which is annoying. I should have just rehydrated more, but at least with this it's easier to snap than the core block, so I'm gonna do just a little bit more and then repot her. She's doing so well and at the moment it's one of my favourite plants, I would say. Question answered, favourite plant. This stuff is absolutely awesome, honestly. It's just great. Like, you can just break off what you need and rehydrate that. And that will probably do 3-4 kind of medium plants, and then the rest I will put to one side. But yeah, oh my god, cool. Right, I'm gonna grab. Oh, do I need any more? No, I probably don't. I'm gonna let that rehydrate for a minute. Right, what else have you guys asked? No more plant ones. Give me some more plant questions. Someone said, "What's your wrist tattoo?" That is a tattoo of a pendant that my nana used to wear around her neck. The actual pendant broke and I got it tattooed when I was 17, 18, I think. That was my first tattoo, so yeah, I love it. Right, I'm gonna let that hydrate and I'm gonna hope that people ask some more stuff so that I'm not left waffling on about the sort of stuff I've been talking about so far. While I'm just waiting for that to hydrate, I'm just going to grab the dustpan and brush and have a little clean up because it is very, very messy right now. I'll give it all a proper clean up at the end when I'm done, but for now, there's not a lot of point because I'm about to repot. I will also put my Brandtianum on the moss pole as well, I think, if I've got time. But my jewel orchid is the one that I got in my House of Kojo order, and it is such a gorgeous plant. But it has given me this beautiful, huge new leaf, and it's got another one on the go. And I'm gonna just pop this in a slightly bigger pot. I think that should be more than enough. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and repot this one very, very carefully because it's so fragile. So actually looking at it now that I'm in the root system in the moss, I actually don't think it needs repotting. I know its roots are coming out the bottom, but I don't know if you can really see. They're actually tiny. I think they're just all growing downwards and haven't really spread out yet. So I'm gonna leave that for now. That is one on my list that I do not have to do. I'm gonna give it a water because it definitely needs a drink, but I'm just gonna keep it in its existing pot for now. And I would say maybe in a month or so I'll come back to that and see if it needs anything doing. But I thought that it was going to be a lot more root bound than that. So my Brandtianum that I made the moss pole for, obviously it's a climbing plant and at the moment it's just starting to kind of lean over, and I know that it would definitely benefit from having a moss pole. So I don't think it's going to actually be ready to move up a pot size, but I think what I'll do, you can just stick the moss pole straight into the soil, but you do risk disrupting the root system or damaging it. So I think I'm going to take her out very carefully of the soil, pop the moss pole in, and then repot her again around it. As I say, if she's ready for repotting, then I'll do it, but I don't think she is. Just trying to very gently ease her out of the pot. Also with rarer, not just philodendron, any plant cuttings, you don't know how well established the cutting was when it was potted, and if you are not really careful, you can risk snapping off its root system and then having to chop and propagate the whole thing. So I do not want to have to do that. There we go. Oh wow. Do we move her up? I'm gonna take the soil away and I'm gonna see how much we've got to play with, because I think that she would actually be fine for a little while without being repotted. That's more roots than I was expecting to see. So having kind of taken a proper look at the roots now that I've got a bit of the soil off, I'm not going to repot her right now. I really don't want to disturb her too much because they're still very, very thin and fragile, a lot of them. And I think seeing as she's doing so well, moving her to a bigger pot size now, especially in winter when it's not ideal for repotting anyway, I don't want to kind of upset her at all when she's doing well. So I think I'm just going to add the moss pole in, get her hopefully climbing a little bit, and then potentially repot her when it comes to summer. Usually, even if I'm not like planning on moving a plant up a pot size, or I'm adding a moss pole, I will usually move them up a pot size anyway, just to kind of accommodate more space for the roots. But actually, apart from the ones that were kind of pushed up against the side of the pot there, under the root ball, she was like really quite rootless. So I'm gonna take the risk and hope that will be absolutely fine. I'm gonna just tie her in one spot here so that it just helps to encourage her nodes and aerial roots to cling on and climb a little bit. So there we go. She is not looking as leany anymore. She's looking a lot more upright and hopefully will start to grip on, climb. And I know that moss pole is actually quite small. I could have done with making that a bit bigger, but hopefully if she does well, then again, when I come to repot her next, I'll also do a new moss pole for her. She's also got a new leaf coming out of the new growth point there. That was the place where obviously the seller before chopped and propagated her, and I'm so happy that firstly she's given me that teeny tiny little leaf, but she's got another one coming as well now. I've got her under grow lights here, so hopefully she will continue to do really well. The last one that I'm going to do is just this clarinervium, who has been dying to be repotted for such a long time. I got this one probably about 8 months ago now, and oh my god, I mean, look at those roots. That is insane. They look a bit sludgy at the moment just because I watered her yesterday, because I knew they'd be quite tough to break apart. But yeah, I'm gonna just move her up probably 1 pot size. Again, yeah, I reckon that would probably be a good size to move her up to. And seeing as I've got a nice airy potting mix made up with the core here, so I think I'm gonna, just very gently try and break these roots apart and repot her. But apart from that, I did have more things on my list, but I know that this video has been going on for a very long time, and I don't know why she's got a feather in with her as well, but we'll put that to one side. That can go back afterwards. There haven't been any more plant questions that have come in, which is really annoying. I've got someone that said, what do you do? I mean, right now, a myriad of very, very strange jobs. I trained as an actor. I went to drama school, and it is, for anyone that doesn't know, a very strange industry, a very bizarre career. I've had a myriad of day jobs since leaving, from bar work to roofing work to lots and lots of strange things, but primarily at the moment I work as an editor and a teacher. And yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I haven't given up on acting, but I'm just focusing on other things. Yeah, that's the short answer. If you want to know more in-depth answers, let me know. I just don't want to, like, when you guys have tuned in for plant content, I don't want to waffle on about a load of stuff that you're like, why are we hearing about this? So if you ever want me to do a more kind of personal Q&A, or maybe even a live, I've said before, going live on YouTube really scares me. I've been live on Instagram a couple of times, and even that just freaks me out. I don't know why. Like, the angst of actually putting yourself under that pressure, and there's nothing to hide behind, it's just you and people throwing things at you. I don't know why, it freaks me out, and I'm always worried that I'll say something wrong and that I'll get ridiculed. So yeah, I know I need to get over that. So if you want me to do a live, let me know and I'll do it. That can be my New Year's resolution. Get over the fear of going live, Claire. Oh God, are you seeing these roots? Those are absolutely insane. They look so healthy though. How healthy do those roots look? Oh, again, sorry carpet, but they look amazing. Yeah, I can't remember if I said before, but I got this clarinervium. This was, I think, the first one that I got. I went through a phase about, 8 months ago. I want to say 8 months ago. That seems about right, but this year has just been a weird time warp, where I was just absolutely obsessed with clarinerviums, and I didn't have one, and they were still quite expensive at that point. And I found a lovely seller on Facebook that was selling one, and I found it and I went for it, and then in the same, I think it was the same day or the same couple of days, I also found another one that I fell in love with, and it was even bigger, even better, same price. So I ended up getting a few of them, and now I've got quite a few. I've got another one just above me, and I've got another one upstairs as well. And then I've got my little seedlings, which I'm very excited about. But yeah, it's just such a gorgeous plant. This one here, as you can see, this leaf, the one that looks a bit weird, that one, it came with a big chunk out of it. Like, I think an area had just started browning. I don't know why. Like, I think it was probably due to humidity or light. Like, it's definitely not the condition of the roots. But I chopped that back, and then down here started browning ever so slightly. So I had to cut it all back. But touch wood, she's doing fine. She's got new growth, and all of that looks really healthy. Oh my God, those roots, they are just, it's like you're seeing your plant naked when you see its roots. You can see your plant every single day, and you'd be like, ah, I know that plant. And then as soon as you repot it, it's like you're seeing them in their underwear, or lack of. Mix the core into the mix, and then we will use this. And then I'll give her a good water afterwards, and hopefully she should be very happy. Because these roots have got so much space between them, I'm just literally trying to like shuffle some of the soil down because it's all collecting at the top, but I can feel gaps in there where it hasn't gone in. So I might just like, yeah, that's working. Give them a bit of a bash, let it all filter through. Once I give her a water as well, I'll be able to see whether or not I need to add more soil, just because there's so many gaps in that massive root system that I just can't quite fill all of them. So I think I'm going to leave it there for today's video. I did have more on my list that I was hoping to get through, but I think that is all stuff that can wait until the new year. So if you want to see more kind of plant chore, chatty vlog style videos, let me know and I will be sure to make more in the new year. I'm sorry this video was slightly crazy and not that well thought out, but I thought it was quite nice to have a balance of that as well as plant care and stuff on my channel. So if you like it, give it a thumbs up, let me know in the comments. And yeah, I hope you will have a wonderful Christmas, an amazing new year, and I will see you in the next video.